Hello there, North Carolina vinyl picker back on a Wednesday, and it's time to show the Fresh 50. We're going into the J's, so that's a good thing. And then we're going to cruise right in through the rest of this collection. I'm almost halfway through. I appreciate everybody that's hung in there and watched so far. Showing a lot of great records, and I have a lot of great records left to go. And if you like what you see, hit the subscribe button and hit the like button, and that way you'll know whenever North Carolina Vinyl Picker has another show ready to show. So let's get right on into it. Didn't pick up any pickups today. I think I got 6 to show on Saturday night. That'll be a special show. Not only will I do my 50, but I'll also be showing my pickups for the week. So got a record show tonight, sale by a good group of guys that are in Hickory, North Carolina, Crate Diggers. So if you go on Facebook and you can watch their show, they're going to be doing about a 3-hour sale, and they're a great bunch of guys, like I said, and they get the records out really quick, and they have really good prices. So I'll get ready for that. So I want to get my show done and over with for today. So here we go. We'll start with Mr. Herb Albert. We left off yesterday with Herb, and we got a few more Herbs to show. So we got this one here, and this one here is called Rise, and this is from 1979. Here's Herb Albert. This one here is called Magic Man. You find most of Herb's records in the Goodwill for $1. Here's another Herb I just found recently, Fandango. Yeah, I think that ends our Herb Albert. That took us a while to get through Herb, but we're still sticking with the H's. And how about the Hollies? Yeah, Graham Nash and the Hollies. They had lots of great hits. This one here I found at a thrift store, and it's really nice. Got some nice luster to it. It's called Bus Stop. I'll take Hollies all day long. I like the Hollies. And this one here is the Hollies' Greatest Hits. Found this the same day with the other album, and has Mr. Graham Nash there, right over here. I think that's him over here. This is all their greatest hits, and it's on the black IR label, just like the other one was, Imperial. And continuing on with the H's, and I was trying to figure out why this was in the H's, but it's Greg and it's Duane Allman, and on the side it doesn't say anything about. Anyway, it's in the H's, and Greg Allman and Duane Allman, the Allman brothers. This is a good album. It's a comp of their early work. So if you like this one, you can find this one usually pretty cheap. It was like a discount record, and it's on the Springboard label. How about Humble Pie Smokin'? Every young kid back in high school, I was in school, they had this album. This is from '72, so I would have been a freshman in high school, and everybody was playing this record back then. Get yourself some Humble Pie with Steve Marriott. Peter Frampton had left the band already by this time. How about Intergalactic Touring Band? I just showed this the other day, and finally found a spot here in my collection. And this album here has got a bunch of people that were on the Passport label, like Larry Fast from Synergy, Anthony Phillips, and a host of other people are on this record. It's a good story. It's about a story about people evacuating from planet Earth. How about this one here? It's on my only one that I have that is the Vertigo Swirl. And this one here is Ian Matthews, and it's Tigers Will Survive. Found this in a flea market where I'm going to be going in the fall. And yeah, I think I paid all of the $1.50 for this. And I saw it there with a Vertigo Swirl. I said, I got to get it just so I have one album with a Vertigo Swirl. I know Black Sabbath did a bunch of records on Vertigo Swirl and stuff. I don't own those. about Ian Anderson? Now we're switching into the I's. We're going from the H to the I's. And Mr. Ian Anderson, frontman for Jethro Tull. His solo album. This album is called Walk Into Light. This is an 80s release. This is also a Canadian record on the Chrysalis. Canadian great label, 1983. So it has that 80s vibe going on. So if you like that 80s vibe, you might like that Ian Anderson solo album. How about The Illusion? We're sticking with the Eyes. This was a band from the, I believe, the 60s and maybe early 70s. If it's so. They made a few records. I really don't know a whole bunch about this band. I'll have to give this another listen. But I'm happy to have it in my collection. How about the Incredible String Band? I have a couple of their records. This one here is called Changing Horses. These guys are really good. Here's another one of their albums. I looked up. These albums here are pretty easy to find. It's more like folk music, English folk, kind of like McHenry Spring and a couple of those type bands. Fairport Convention. How about IQ? Really switching up gears now. This is the Neo Prog that came in the 80s, and this album doesn't have a date on it. Oh yeah, it does, 89. So we're getting kind of late into the Neo Prog scene. This was after Peter Nichols had left the band for a couple of records, and then he came back to the fold afterwards. And they made this album here, and this is from their album Are You Sitting Comfortably? They had a different singer at the time, but it's a good solid album. It's got that 80s sound though. If you're into the 80s, you might want to check out IQ. Iron Butterfly, in the God of Vita, or in the Garden of Eden, however you want to say it. This is a great Iron Butterfly album. I would like to get a couple more of their records, their early stuff like Ball and a couple other ones. But this one here is a classic progressive psych album. Then we have It's a Beautiful Day. Speaking of psych music, and White Bird was their big hit. And then we have David LaFlame. He was the lead singer for this band. Here's their live album at Carnegie Hall. So you knew they were pretty big if they played Carnegie Hall. And this was in 72. So this is early on the prog scene, right after the Beatles broke up. How about Jack Lancaster and Robin Lumley from Brand X? These people are from Brand X, or Robin is. Jack Lancaster's been in lots of different bands. And this album's called Marscape. And this is also a really cool album to get. If you get, there's a lot of people that are on this album. So you might want to check this one out. Who's all on this? How about Morris Pert from Brand X? Mr. Phil Collins is on this record. John Goodsall from Brand X. Robin Lumley from Brand X. And of course Jack Lancaster. It's credited to be a Jack Lancaster album. But great album. That if you like Brand X, you'll like Marscape. How about Jackson Browne? Since we're into the J's, we jumped right to the J's. It's Jackson Browne's first album, Saturate Before Using. When he hit the scene in the on that Asylum Records. This is considered to be one of people's favorite Jackson Browne albums. For Every Man. This was that Laurel Canyon scene with Electra, with all those bands that were in Asylum. You got The Pretender. Found all these in a thrift store, and they were. I think I found all of them together. They were like $1 a piece. Running on Empty. And here we got James Newton Howard and Friends. This is another must-have record. If you can find this record out in the wild, it's worth a good bit of money. James Newton Howard was an outstanding, well, still is, an outstanding keyboard player. Played the synthesizers, And Steve Porcaro's on this album as well, and Joe and Jeff Porcaro. This album's really cool. It's jazz fusion with leanings towards progressive rock. So if you're into that sort of things, pick up this one here. I've actually found 2 CDs of this as well. So they're out there. It's got a. I walked into a Habitat one day and I saw the CD there. I'm like, what's this doing here with all this other stuff here in North Carolina? What's James Newton Howard doing here for $1? James Taylor. How about James Taylor? And then he was also on the Apple label when Apple started. They got James Taylor because James was over there and he knew the Beatles. This is James Taylor's first album, self-titled album. Then we have James Taylor in the Flying Machine. This was 1967. I think this was done before that album, but this one was released afterwards, if I'm not mistaken. And then we got the album everybody knows. This one here I had as a kid. I'm going to go through. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to pick all my top 20 albums that I had when I was in high school and show them when I get done with my going through my entire collection, which is taking some time. But we're up to the J's, so we're halfway through. Aren't everybody excited? Yay! Everybody's excited. Big Chiefs dog, halfway through. Okay, so here we go. James Taylor. This was his big hit, Sweet Baby James. It's got, of course, it's got Fire and Rain on here, and Country Road, and Steamroller. It's got a bunch of hits. This was his breakout album, I would say, in the United States. He got signed to Warner Brothers. And here's his next album, Mudslide Slim. This is kind of hard to find a really nice copy of this. And yeah, got old JT when he was young. And here's Gorilla. This has got the song Mexico on it. I don't have all his records. I have quite a few of them though. And these also can be found in the Goodwills and stuff. Here's his greatest hits. And here's JT. Not the Final Community JT. Not to be confused. Never Die Young. I think that's the end of mine. I have quite a few CDs of his also. How about Jan Ackerman? Jan Ackerman was, this is a promo, and he was in Focus, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's right down there in the bottom there, Tony, if you know the answer to this one. But I think that I think this guy was in Focus, and I have a couple of his solo albums that I picked up. It's more of a jazzier album, and this one here as well. Again, it's more of a jazz, light jazz fusion record. Moving into J's, man, I'm excited here. How about this one here? Gene Ritchie, an instruction record for Folkway record, the Appalachian Dulcimer. The dulcimer was a musician instrument that was used by Lorena McKinnon and also used by Kate Bush. But I picked this up, and this album's pretty cool. How about this one here? Now we're going to talk about JeanLuc Pont. We're going to finish up today with JeanLuc Pont. I have about 30 of his records. I love JeanLuc Pont. I've been listening to him since high school. Jazz fusion. At first, he was doing more contemporary jazz stuff, and then he was in Frank Zappa's band for a piece. He was on Honky Chateau for Elton John, and he made a lot of records. So we're going way back with this one, 1972. And this is one of my earliest records that's called The Sunday Walk. You can see JeanLuc Pont right there in the center. And then we have JeanLuc Pont with Stefan Grappelli, The Violin Summit. This album's from '79. Then we have JeanLuc Pont live at Montreux. This was from '76. So I need a correct that while I'm here. What was that other one? 79. We can do this. How about JeanLuc Pont, Sonata Erotica? And this one was, excuse me, this is recorded live in 72, and then this album was released in 1985. Then we have Open Strings, the JeanLuc Pont Experience. This was also from 72. Fixing these as we go, and that was the thing I wanted to get done. Upon the Wings of Music. This was 1975. All right, that goes right there. 1975. We're coming to the end here. 1976. How about Aurora? This one is on Atlantic. He signed with Atlantic, and then he had a run of records on Atlantic. So this was 1976. This album here is 1976 as well. And this one here is a promo. It's Imaginary Voyage. This one here is Enigmatic Oceans, another promo. And I had the original albums from these, and then I put them in the other room after I found the promos from Enigmatic Ocean. Then we have JeanLuc Pont with Fabrica Occupada, Part 1 and 2, with The Woman I Love. And this album was 1976. This one here is Cosmic Messenger. This album was 1978. Most of the ones that are on Atlantic were all fusion records. This is another fusion record. This is from 79, A Taste of Passion. This one here is the JeanLuc Pont Live. This is also from 79. Then we have from 1980, Civilized Evil. I figured this was 42 years ago this album come out. It's a long time I've been listening to JeanLuc Pont. That was one of the first, Pat Metheny, when I started rebuying my vinyl records about 3 years ago now. I've collected all these records in like 3 years. That's hard to believe, but it's true. About 3 years. What was I going to say? JeanLuc Pont and Pat Metheny were the first two bands, basically, in Yellow Jackets that I started buying all their records of, and those are all jazz groups. So where's my heart lie? I would say my heart lies with jazz, fusion records. I like progressive rock, and I like country rock. So that's probably my top three right there, and then rock in general would fall into different categories, but if you had to pin it down to the North Carolina vinyl picker, it would be progressive rock as number 3, country rock, and then jazz fusion. And then you got Mystical Adventures, and this was 1982. And psych music, that would be in there too. 83. I need to pick 2 albums from each genre of my favorite genres. That's another show. All right, everybody. That's Fresh 50 right there. I'll be back tomorrow with another 50, and then we'll cruise right from the going from the J's into the K's. We got a lot of Jeffs and Johns coming up, and then we're going into the K's, and then we got King Crimson, and we got Klaatu, and we got, oh my gosh, and then we're going to get into the L's, and then the M with Marillion, and then Nectar, and then N's, and then we get into the O's and the P's, then we get into Pat Metheny, and then we get into the R's, and then we got Renaissance, and then we get into the S's, And we got, what do we got? We got like Simon and Garfunkel and C Train and Steven Wilson. And then we get into what we got after that. So we got the T's, and then we got, there's all kinds of stuff we got for the T's 10 years after. And then we got the U's and the V's, and got Vangelis, and then the W's, and then we got the Who, and we got all the way down to the Z's. We got the Zombies, and we're at the halfway point, just like we're in the halfway point of summer. So be careful out there. Take care. Support our troops. God bless our troops, and looking forward to reunion with my daughter next month. She's coming back home from deployment. So God bless them, and keep them in your prayers. Everybody makes it home safe. So y'all take care out there, and North Carolina Picker out.